Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back.
Hold on, I'm my chicken. No, I'm just
As you know, this is Bro Talk, and if you know Brother Bliss, he is a character. But what's up, Brother Bliss, and what's up to my brother bRho? We are Bro Talk. It's bRho, Isaac, and then Brew, who's been over in the motherland for like almost over a month now, chilling over there. I don't know if Brother Man coming back or not, but the way things going, I don't really blame him.
That might be the better place to be right now. You know?
That might be the move.
The safer place to be.
Yeah, that might be the move. But this is a show where we talk about manhood, brotherhood, fatherhood, and everything in between. And so today we got a real good show for you. This is a topic that we talked about a lot being on this show about particularly with fatherhood and being present and talking about how that looks in public and how it also looks in private. So we want to have a conversation about that. And we also want to take some time in the beginning just to do some current events and some things that are happening going on in our world that even we are trying to make sense of. And so we would love for you to join us, weigh in on the conversation on that. And also, if you are a dad and you're watching this, there's going to be some good stuff right here because between all of us, we have about 30 something years of experience of child rearing, and particularly bRho and I, we have sons. And Isaac, he is blessed to have all. Well, no, he got a son.
Yeah.
That last one.
Like, man, you know, put me out on the island, yo.
And when he had that son, he was like, all right, I'm done.
I was done before that, but that's a different story.
You know, we should talk about, you know what I mean, at a different time. I think that's something to talk about too, because I know some brothers don't believe in the procedure. I know, yeah.
I don't believe in it. I'm not against nobody else getting it.
Yeah,
I'm not getting it.
Listen, I'm a believer.
Yo, what's the name? Bama was talking about some. Yeah, you gotta wear the whitey tighties. My man, like, why we gotta wear whitey tighties when you know what I mean? Like, anyway.
Y'all got it.
Nah, I mean, I bought some, but nah. You I mean, you know, we can have a conversation another day if we want to, like, you know, the process, the aftermath, all that stuff too. But
because I'm in pain thinking about. I'm in pain listening to it.
Listen, man, yo. There was a time when the people of Israel, man, they all got circumcised, and they got circumcised on the 8th day. But then there's a couple.
Yeah, you don't remember that. You don't remember that pain. 8 days old, you don't remember that.
Right, but David somehow, you know what I mean? You know, I don't know. But anyway, it happened. Grown men have been circumcised, at least in the Bible. That's why, go ahead and read it, man. It's a good book. But anyway, we here. What's up, fellas? How's your Monday going so far?
It was a good day, man. Productive. You know, got a lot done. So, you know, whenever you can have a productive day, I feel like it's at least you can no matter what else you have going on, you can at least relax at the end of the day, feeling like I got some things accomplished.
Yeah, man. Monday is Monday, and like like bRho said, I think it was a busy day. I think mainly because like we're at the time right now, post vacation, where everybody's back at work. You know, for a little bit. I know we got shout out to Frat Brother MLK Day coming up, you know, pretty soon too, which also kind of is right along side of, you know, another great birthday. You know, we can say that for later, but
you sure it's a great birthday?
Hey man, listen.
My dad say every day above dirt is a good day.
Every single day.
Yeah, but yeah, I think everybody's like, you know, kind of back in work and back in that flow right now. So things are starting to pick back up for, you know, the start of the new year. So things are definitely busy, you know, at work, and then, you know, after work, the stuff with the kids doesn't stop. So Ava she's going to be going to middle school next year, 7th grade. So out in the district that she's at. That's when they actually, start middle school for 2 years, which is kind of not becoming more non-traditional, right? Like is the middle school still seventh, right, or is it sixth in some aspects, right?
In some
So
places it's six
yes,
and yeah.
a lot
Yeah,
of
so
places, a lot of places have transitioned to that 6 through 8. You know what I
six
mean?
eight, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so she's gonna be kicking it off, going to a new school, new building. This is when all the elementary schools in the district come together, as well too. So, making new friends and seeing new people, new experiences. So excited for her for that next stage in her life. So, we went to the parent orientation, and I have to say, like, they do a really great job, like getting everybody involved. The teachers are, super active in the process. The principal out there, he's real cool as well. So, shout out to them for making sure that young people in that district have what the resources that they need, and um, have a good time while they're in school. There were some student leaders that were there as well too. So me just when we see young people, out doing positive things, definitely had to stop and talk to them for a little while and just kind of hear about their experience and a lot of good things that they had to say as well too. So again, kudos to the district because kids don't lie, what I mean? So they're gonna tell you the real deal.
Women lie, men lie, but kids don't lie, brother.
They'll let you know.
Lying.
Unless they lie into a man or a woman, like they can't. 'Cause they do that.
They're not lying, they're just making up a story. Yeah, so sound like
So how
y'all
about you, Kareem, man? Full
yeah,
week back
yeah.
now and starting week 2?
Well, the students started back today, so
Okay.
that was good, man. They were really happy to see me there. Some of them were actually surprised to see me because I've been gone for so long,
Hmm.
but it was
Thought you
good. It
had
was
quit. They thought
yeah.
you had quit.
You say what? They
They
thought I
thought
what?
you had quit.
Nah. They knew I was going through something. They knew
Okay.
I had a
Now you know
storm.
how kids be like, oh man, I thought you had left.
Yeah, yeah. Well, nobody has said that to me yet. So let's just say that no one said that to me yet. But I think everybody knew I was sick because I gave them permission to let the students that work in our office know, what was going on. So, but yeah, it was good. It's good to be back. This is my second week back, and I've been doing pretty well. Just kind of getting used to the swing of things again. The biggest thing has been just being able to have a good diet. While I'm there. When you work at a university, there's like food galore. It's food all over the place. And the food ain't always, when I mean good, well, sometimes it just ain't good, don't taste good, but a lot of it, the food has like a lot of sodium in it and things like that. So, it's just something for me to be able to navigate there. But I take like money out my check each pay period to go towards, if I want to have lunch or get coffee or, take people on a coffee meeting or whatever. Man, I was up like $600. I was like, man, shoot, how can I take this money out so I can use it for something else? But nah, it's been good. It's been good, man. The people have been more than gracious with that. But so today we're gonna talk about the subject matter, which is fatherhood in public and private. But first, I know that we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the current events and some of the things that happened just recently that in my own opinion, it was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. But I have some different thoughts about it too, particularly with what happened with the situation with ICE and everything like that,
Oh,
which is
let's hear it because
totally unfortunate.
let's hear it, sir. Why are you looking at me like that, man? I'm just curious. I just want to inquire minds want to know.
See, last time, Barlow, what he do is he like to set traps. So he like, yo, oh, okay. But no, I think only thing I want there's two things that I saw. And so this actually really isn't my opinion, but these are two things that I saw kind of just floating around. The first thing is that number one, I mean, it's a travesty, right? That for somebody to be unalived and live, like on camera, which is like crazy to even see that. And so like I haven't personally watched it. I know my kids have not watched it. Um my wife might have watched it. I don't know. I didn't ask her, but it's just it's something to where, it's just we almost can't believe that these things are happening during this time. But the way that things are set up now, it's believable that these things can happen at this time. The other thing that I saw was, now this came from a white woman that I was watching a video, and she was saying that in her mind, well, from what she can gather is that the reason why there's so much around this is because it was a white woman. You know, people of color have been things that happened to them, and it hasn't got that much publicity. But she said, and this is a white woman that said this, as soon as it happened to a white woman, then all of a sudden everybody's in uproar. It's publicized. It's all over all the news channels. And but where's that same energy when it comes to people of color that also have experienced this as well?
I would say it's a unique situation that it
Mm,
was a white woman, right? Because when you think about ICE and you think about all the turmoil that's happening right now, that's not the target of ICE, right?
yeah.
And the fact that it was a white woman that was shot raises the question, like, it raises a lot of questions. And you were alluding to kind of my thought around the whole situation earlier. When you mentioned we're kind of society is kind of set up for these things to happen, and from my perspective, it was inevitable that a white woman was going to get killed in this process, right? Not killed. I'm sorry, not unalived, right? But hurt in this process. And it has happened already as well too, because there's a lot of white advocates that are out protesting, that are on the front lines when it comes to the protests that are happening in Minnesota, New York, all the other cities that Trump is and the Department of Defense are sending the military out to those cities. California, some of the cities in California as well too. Uh, it's happening where they are getting hurt in the process of protesting. So uh, it seemed to me like this incident was that as well too. Like the woman that was in this car was trying to block the vehicles, the ICE vehicles, from getting through, and they surrounded her vehicle. And what one of the reasons why I believe this happened is because the individuals that they have in these uniforms and these masks, and that they give these weapons to, one, probably aren't trained to use the weapons properly. Two, haven't had enough time to learn how to use the weapons properly because they're just thrown out on the street. They're being sent to these cities without any clear direction of what their role is and what they're supposed to do. And a lot of them have these anger and Napoleon complexes, right? So they're out in society, and they have this assumed power, and they're acting on it. I believe like the officer, quote unquote, if you want to call him that shot this woman, was not scared that he was going to get ran over. He was just scared from being in a situation where he didn't know what he was supposed to do. And that's what it looked like to me when I kind of watched the incident. I didn't see all the gory aspects of it, but just the point where the actual shooting happened, that's what it looked like to me. It was an untrained individual that didn't know what they were doing, that probably shouldn't have been there, that really shouldn't have been there in that situation because they didn't have the training, and that was the result of what happened.
Mm,
I think so. Um, I think they're highly trained, right? But they're highly trained in what they do, and that is, and that's also, um, they've also been giving or been given um, the orders to at whatever cost, right? I think one of the things that we heard during the you know during the 2024 kind of election period was that you know Trump wanted to see he wanted to be able to allow policing to happen uh, without all of the disrespect or whatever the case is for law enforcement. There was like kind of rhetoric around and narratives around law enforcement being allowed to freely enforce laws in to whatever extent. And I think that to me that's what I'm seeing is that they're being given not to be cliche, you know what I mean, but it's like they're being given a license to use whatever extent of force that they feel you know necessary or justified in using it, including or uh, I would say up to, but almost like starting with. So if you don't get compliance immediately, you can you can use lethal force, and we'll figure out a way to spin the narrative to justify it.
It's not even a matter of spinning the narrative. The vice president got on TV. This was after the shooting, right? After the incident, the vice president got on TV and said that he and these ICE officers have absolute um, anonymity, right? Anonymity. So they can't be charged for doing what they're doing in line of duty, which is not true, right? Legally, that's just not true. But that's the narrative that they're spreading, and probably, and what I'm was saying that the information that they're receiving is not accurate information either, right? So maybe they are going through a training, but they're being told a lie. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I'm not this. I wasn't pushing necessarily back in because I heard where you were coming from. My
Mm-hmm.
my thought was in what they are being trained to do is exactly what they are doing. You know what I mean? And that is again use whatever extent of force you you feel in that day. You know what I mean? And again, don't worry about what happens. We'll take care of that.
You know what this sounds like to me? I mean, none of us lived through it, but it just sounds like uh the KKK dressed up in a way because
Wearing masks.
they are wearing
They are
masks.
wearing masks.
They are wearing masks, but it has the same. If we look back in history, it has the same semblance because they, even though it was towards us, our people, our ancestors, our relatives, but they also felt like they were above the law, and in some cases they were, because they
But
felt
again,
something happen, and then they can lynch and do what they wanted to do, and they didn't have to worry about any repercussions.
well, so to your point, right? Uh, when if someone who's a high ranking, let's say, law enforcement officer puts on that hood and carries out a crime, who then looks for or who's then now, you know, looking to bring justice to that person when it was them, like, you know what I mean? That was the issue with the wearing the hood and the cloak was that,
Hmm.
you know what I mean, you are now cloaked in anonymity, and how do you bring someone to justice when you don't, you can't point them out of the, there's nobody to be able to point them out of the room and say, well, it was this one or that one, you know what I mean? Who, you can't. So and that's so to that end, I definitely get what you're saying in regards to that aspect of it. To me, the tragedy of this is that everyone's, wherever you are, right, on the issue of the compliance thing, because that seems like the tipping point of of what one side or another keeps saying, right? Um, my position is this: is that uh, non-compliance does now not make somebody judge, jury, and executioner. Like, that is what due process of the law is for, and you know what I mean, and about. But when the knee jerk reaction is, oh, because so you tell somebody to move, right? You tell someone to move, and then they start to move their vehicle, and now it's, well, you were using a vehicle, a motor vehicle, and that could have been considered an escalation up to deadly force, which justifies, the reciprocation of the law enforcement officer to use lethal force in order to protect themselves. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, again, we're reaching. It's a reach.
That's their interpretation of it, though, right? I mean, or it seems like that's the interpretation of.
But again,
that not saying it's right, but
exactly, and that's the thing, is that interpretation or narrative, if you will, is going to be what allows situations like this to perpetuate themselves. So to scream, well, they should comply. You know what I mean? It disregards the history of the founding of this country. You know what I mean? What was the Boston Tea Party? It was non-compliance. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like every act of defiance, if you will, was some level of response to what the colonists felt like were acts of aggression towards them. So for me, I feel like to scream comply or it's a cop out. It again, it disregards that this nation was founded on resistance. This nation,
but it was resistance for the people that founded the country, though. You know what I mean? Like it was resistance against England. It was resistance against. I mean, I know they talk about religion as well, but I mean, we've resisted too. Our people have resisted, and we got some gains from that as well. But I think that what I've heard, and then I'll be quiet after that, but is that this country, if you look at the things that have happened throughout history, like you said, resistance has been the constant with this country, and rebellion. Because let's be honest, if you look at it without any feeling or emotion, this country was built on rebellion. They were rebelling. That's what this was founded on. If you just look at it for what it is, and I think that has helped us throughout the years, and that's plagued us also throughout the years as well, even into now currently.
It's interesting that again, my dad used to say this all the time when I was growing up. He said, "Power concedes nothing without a struggle." Mm-hmm. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So again, when someone's in power, of course, compliance is what they want. Again, it seeks to maintain the status quo. That's what power does,
right?
But when in the preamble of the Constitution, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their created with certain inalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know what I mean? And when these rights, so it goes on to talk about when these rights aren't, protected. You know what I mean? That it is incumbent upon these people to resist, to take a stance, to take a position that if you're not acting in the rights of what we feel are our best interests, and that's where I feel like that's where I struggle is that no matter what side of the arguments you're on, how people could be so clouded by the idea that the people who are in systems right now or in in the executive office of the presidency and the executive branch of government, how people could feel like that those folks are for them, as opposed to you have more in common with people who are also not of the elite. we are, you know what I mean? We say a government of, by, and for the people, and really, that's not necessarily what we see. Every
Right.
once in a while, you get someone like someone that breaks through and you know is kind of like one of those stories that like a Barack Obama type of story, but or even he was the governor of Minnesota who was Kamala Harris's running mate.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well,
kind of kind of working class, and then ends up in a very prominent position. But rarely those things are so rare, but they're thrown in our face as if that can be anybody, and that's really not the case.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
think that's that, like the way that the narratives and the rhetoric has been used to keep people divided is to me the biggest issue that I have.
Yeah. So this is a great conversation, and I'm glad that we're having it here. I know want to transition over to not necessarily how this relates to fatherhood, public and private, but I think these are the conversations that we have to have with our kids. So one of the things that my father used to talk about is basically, yeah, you might not see racism or you might not see things that are happening right now, but when they do happen, just be prepared for when that happens, right? So I always tell the story of like when I first went out to a suburban school. Now I'm not saying racism
I
happened,
knew
right?
it was good. I knew we was gonna get there. It had to get the Gates child at some point.
So actually I was in the Churchville district at that point. And I just I was like what, one of two black kids in the class. Now, funny enough, there was another black young boy that was in the class with me, but we wasn't friends. I'll just say that. And I think a lot of that has to do with like he had assimilated into
they not like us.
they're not like us. And I'm not saying it like in a bad way because I mean we are products of our environments.
Say it with your chest, man. Like,
Yeah. But yeah, I lost my whole thought with that whole story. But anyway, we got to have, these conversations with our kids about when things happen. Obviously they want to know why they're happening, but really just, having the conversation about, what's happening, in the world and then how that relates to them, because it's different for everybody. Right. So I wouldn't imagine that somebody who is Mexican to have the same outlook on somebody who's Irish or whatever the case may be. Everyone's going to have their own kind of view on how they, see things.
but again, I think so. So two things to your point. I agree. This it does, to me, it does tie into where we're going because we all have teenagers. You know what I mean? We all got teenagers now, right? So having teenagers and they're not oblivious to what's going on in the world around them, and they overhear things, they see things, and so now when they come to us either with questions or at some point present questions to us about what's going on in the world and what's going on in the community around them, it's important. And I mean, and I think that's further kind of driven by the fact that again, we all know the districts that each of our children go to, and there are districts that are not predominantly made up of other kids that look like them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So again, when you have the things that are happening in the world today, and they're happening and they impact our children, and again, the way it impacts them is people the same way we're having conversations in our home or are prepared to have conversations at home. Other folks are preparing to have those same conversations at home or already having them.
Yeah.
And those, those beliefs, those ideologies travel with them. And they make it inside the school walls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and places that our kids navigate, the teams that they may participate on, or the extracurricular activities they may be involved in. So that's why I think it's important for us to have these discussions, these conversations, and having them here, because again, this is, I mean, you know, I think about, parenting, like, and I'm like, man, you don't realize the amount of mental bandwidth our parents were, you know what I mean, kind of, until you get there. You don't, I'm
Yeah.
like, man, there's a lot that that there is just no manual or manuscript for, that you are doing the best you can in real time,
Yes.
to try to either anticipate or figure out, or respond to as it arises, because life is happening in real time. So that's why I thought it was really important, because again, we talk about fatherhood, manhood, brotherhood, and this is a big part of the fatherhood, manhood, brotherhood experience that happens. So I think as we kind of get into the specific topic as it relates to the fatherhood kind of lens that we're going to touch on today, I do think this was important to touch on, because of how current events impact. I remember, man, middle school and high school, we used to, like, one of the first things we would talk about during the day in school was, like, we talk about current events. Now, especially in global studies class, it was like, current events. You know what I mean? That was always one of the first kind
So
of.
you know what the big event was back then, right? You graduated in '99, right?
Yes, sir.
Yo, when homeboy got found not guilty. It's
Oh,
about
listen,
OJ Simpson.
listen,
OJ Simpson.
bro, you have.
So, and I was in Gates at that time, so it was.
But were you in high school though? Were you in high school?
In middle school. I was in middle school.
Listen,
7th grade.
So I can only imagine what it was like in that environment.
As kids, we was all cheering, like it
was tense. Like I went to Edison. It was extremely tense, because you could see, hear, and feel the response. I mean, like,
especially the teachers.
There was absolutely no instruction going on that day. I mean, there was like I don't even know where they must have brought in extra televisions, because back then the TVs, you'd bring them in on the classroom on that big giant cart.
Yeah.
and some teachers had hey, bring your kids by. We're gonna all watch the verdict play out in the class today. And it was like the people who were, no matter how you felt about whether or not he had committed the crime or not, the ones who celebrated the verdict, and the ones who were not happy about the verdict, it was very clear and obvious how you know what I mean, that tension and that the air got real thick, real fast.
It did.
And again, it was an interesting time. And so again, our kids are living these same moments, what I mean, in their lifetime. And so again, trying to navigate those conversations, those experiences for our children, that, man, this, I tip my hat to our parents, because at the time, you don't think about how much they're actually processing to be able to, give to us as children.
Yo, I mean, Chanel and I were in school together. She's a year older than me, grade above me. Yeah, we remember, man. We were there, and matter of fact, 7th grade was the first year I got to Gates. So I started in Gates, and actually I started in 7th grade. 7th grade, and yeah, man, it was like, when I tell you, man, like you said, the air was so thick. And I think during the time when I was in school, there was definitely a divide between the black and the white students. Now it got better once we got to high school. Things kind of settled down, and people kind of got in their pockets, and it was a little bit more jovial. But that case, that split the school. At least I know amongst the students and what we were talking about. That definitely split the school, for sure.
Listen. So if you know anything about Edison in the '90s, we had our share of racial tensions. I'll put it that way.
Okay. This is my first time hearing that, though.
man, it was riots, man. I mean, like there were weeks where like it was like, oh, you know, there was only one demographic in the school
Mm,
because things had gotten that tense.
wow. I thought it was just us, man. I mean, Chanel could probably uh validate this, man, but I remember we had like it was literally black students against white students for some reason. I mean, it wasn't even just about OJ.
For some reason.
Not just because of OJ, but period. That's just it was weird.
But
It wasn't everybody, but
but you
that's
got to think it happened like that happened on the backs of like it like the OJ trial was like the big kaboom
yeah,
of
because Rodney King had already happened.
Rodney King, Reginald Denny, the riots,
Yeah, the
everything
riots, yeah.
that led to it precipitated this. You know what I mean? So again, I think it's so important to be conscious and mindful of these current events, and you know,
And how we talk to our kids about it, man. Like you
yeah,
said, man. How do we help them make sense and give them space to ask the questions? It's not about being right or wrong. It's just having that space
agreed,
to just make sense of.
agreed.
I think that's the evolution of where we are now. Because I can tell you, like my parents, they grew up during a certain time, right? So it was just, you know, this, that, and the third, right? But I think now because we've been around for a little bit, times have changed in a sense where now, we want to help them to be able to think a little bit more critically about what's happening. And, I'm sure they have their own thoughts and then how that affects them, how it's going to affect them in the future, how it affects their friends, how it affects the relationships that they have at school, like all these things to be able to help guide them through. I think at this time, because of kind of where we are and with social media and access to information, that we're able to do that we necessarily didn't do or might not have been able to do, back in the 90s, early 2000s. Oh, you're
Yeah,
on mute.
You meant to this whole conversation is that as adults we we messed it up, right? And I'm not saying
That,
us. I'm not saying our
yeah,
generation.
yeah,
I'm not
that's
saying the generation before us. I'm not saying blame it on the generation before them, right?
mhm.
But from both sides of the coin, like and you want to look at it from the school and how there was that division between blacks and whites, right? Like that is all learned behavior, and they're not necessarily learning that behavior in school, right? They learn that behavior at home. The conversations that are had in the home are what shape the viewpoints and the perspectives of the kids. And that's been the reality in the situation forever, right? We talk about, we watch things from the 60s when our parents were growing up, and, them being called niggers and all types of other stuff, right? To their face out in public, and no, they couldn't do anything, because what they were told at home was you better not say anything, because if you do, you're going to get in trouble, and so on and so forth, right?
Mhm.
But those are the messages that you're getting from either side, and then that's going to create contention, point blank period. If you take two kids, a black kid, a white kid, and put them in a room together, and they grow up, or they put them in a household together and they grow up. And I'm not even talking about the whole color thing from this point on, because, most people I don't see color, right? I'm not racist. I don't see color, but you put them in a room together and they grow up together, right? And they have similarities, and they, they grow this bond. That becomes a true statement. Like we get these messages from home that tell us like you can't do this or you shouldn't do this, and even like how we joke and we kid, like our jokes come from those hardships, and all those challenges. So I know like we're too far gone at this point in the time of society, right? We've got an administration that is anti-immigrant, right? And the irony is we're living in a country that was built on immigration. You know what I mean? And the people that were here before were not Native Americans, they were black people, right? And that had their land stole from them.
Come on, man. You preaching now. Go ahead,
But
brother.
that's what I'm saying. Like we're living in a country where this is supposed to be the case, and somehow over time, we got to a point where they, we're reverting back to allowing somebody to come in and lead that has the perspectives of someone from the 1950s, right?
Here's my thought. It's interesting you say that because I think this was I was watching something, and there's been some studies done recently around uh, in at in systems of government, right? You have boomers and whatever generation preceded boomers, right? So you've got boomers, the generation that preceded boomers, and Gen Xers, um, kind of dominating the political landscape. Millennials and beyond haven't really, uh, emerged as a predominant demographic in those political spaces. Although we live in a world that's much more reflective of what what kind of beliefs and teachings that millennials and beyond are receiving. That to that, I kind of, I just thought that was interesting thought. But to your point, I think deeper than right anti-immigration, because if I don't have an issue with someone saying we need to figure out something about something, we need to figure out something or some plan or some way to, do better with whatever policy you have issue with. That's immigration. That's capitalism, economy, whatever the issue is. I don't have an issue with someone saying we need to do better, and people having a difference of opinion about it. Where I really take issue is when people lose the humanity of others, and in the
I
process.
agree with that.
You
Yeah.
know, the whole. I mean, when you just referring to people as the left or the liberals or the right, or and all the name calling and slandering that goes along with that, we have truly lost the humanity that I feel like is really what makes this a you know this thing called a dream possible, right? When we lose when we lose humanity for one another, that to me is the tragedy in all this. Is that, what I mean? It's not, again, I don't agree with what's happening, but worse than what's happening is how it is happening, how it is being done, how people are being treated less than human. You know what I mean? And how it's happening. So to me, that's where I really take issue is that there the law, the absolute just kind of albatross of humanity in the process
What
of everything.
what demographic is the fastest growing in America?
Fastest growing.
Yeah.
You have the answer to that?
I think I do, but I'm gonna verify before I say something silly.
Oh, because I was just gonna say something silly.
Um, Again, without data, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to kind of offhand answer
That's
that.
all right. I'm looking it up.
I do, but I do. What I will say is that I know.
Hispanic and Latino population is one of the largest right now, and then after that is Asian Americans.
In the U.S. or the
In the
world?
U.S. only,
Oh,
just the U.S.
I think here's the other thing about this is that, again, uh, with black and brown people, we've so long not trusted and have internalized lack of trust for, like, government, right? When the census, material comes around, we don't fill it out. We see it and we toss it. No different than, when we see, let's say it's time to serve on jury duty, we toss it. You know what I mean? Like, and so those things affect us. Those things matter because the other way we're affected is black folks. We come from a big, beautiful kind of, this mix of folks, right? So what we do is, when again, when for those of us who will fill out the census, we'll say, we'll check everything. We get the, um, there's no disrespect to the man. He said it. He said, I'm Caucasian, and Tiger said I'm Caucasian, right? I'm all of these different things. So when we're not checking African American, and then when monies get funneled to other communities because they, the demographics now are skewed based upon what the census, what the census data informs. Now we're having more money funneled and driven away from our communities, and that, all of that matters. And I hear you. I hear you in terms of the data that's available, but I think we have to be more intentional and more mindful about making sure we're, I'm not denying any other aspects of anyone's humanity or their makeup, their ethnic makeup, uh, but we have to be intentional about making sure that we are, you know, checking, because it does, if even if it doesn't impact you directly, it impacts us very indirectly.
I think that's been the history though, man. I think about, so question, and I do know the answer to this. So who had the right to vote first? Black men or white women?
Well, constitutionally, we did. Black men,
Constitutionally,
we as
we
black.
did, right? So there was a movement which rightfully so should have happened. Um, and I'm glad that it happened. But
You so political.
I'm sure at the time that's gonna make me a good CEO. So at the time, um, if I was a white woman back in the early 1900s and a black man who was probably family was either he was probably a former slave or his father was probably a former slave or whatever, had the right to vote before I did, at that time I would probably feel some type of way about that.
But here's where I'm troubled by that. Right?
Mhm.
Is it didn't bother you? It wasn't even a conscious thought
That's the point I'm
until
making.
until folks who did not look like you
Mhm.
were not now had to say. Now all of a sudden it was like, oh, wait a minute. You know what I mean?
Hold up.
Yeah. So
But
you know
that has happened in this country on many occasions and many things, right? It's like when crime hits the suburbs. Oh, we got to do something about it. We got to get a neighborhood watch and all this other stuff, bruh. There's crime happening. I mean, everywhere, but nobody said that when it was happening in the city. They was like, "Oh, well, that ain't us. We out
no,
here,
no.
we doing our thing."
They say stuff. It's like
Mm.
that's how they act. Look how they act. Look how they behave. That's
Yeah,
again. That's the
yeah,
narrative.
yeah.
It it is spun as if it is an inherent characteristic,
That's
trait,
them.
or
Yeah,
quality as it relates to black and brown people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's hard to talk to a kid about that goes to a predominantly white school, because hopefully now I will say thankfully the district that our kids are in, my two kids, has been really good with tackling difficult subjects, especially with the things that happened with the board and the guy dressed up as a gorilla at a meeting, you know what I mean? Like that thing, and then you
And
know,
this again, even that was, you know how that was spun, right?
I don't even remember because I just remember when it happened.
It was spun as if the purpose or reasoning behind him wearing that costume was he was taking issue with the furries, you know what I mean, kind of the idea of furries being our children in schools being exposed to
Yes, yes,
that, you know what I mean.
but but
But
but
again,
but but that
the
ain't got nothing to do. Right, I get you. Yeah, but that ain't got nothing to do with, like, why would you wear an ape costume though?
that's my point.
It
It's
has
the
nothing
whole
to do
it's the
with
whole
that.
it's again, it's finding those ways to almost justify obvious behavior, but pretend to feign tone deafness. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's where.
And
that
them
that
those be the same people that say I don't see color, dude. Let me make this clear for everybody that's watching. The Lord made pigmentation. There's a reason why there are different colors, different pigmentations. There's melanin levels that are high in some folks and melanin levels that are low. There's a reason for that. God likes variety. If he wanted everybody to be the same, he would have did that. But he did it. There's all different types of people, and what they are and how they look is um part of how this world was created, right? And so people got to get out of that. I know people disagree. Certain people disagree with that because they try to make it seem like I don't judge people by their color. Well, you
I
do.
do.
You do. I mean, everybody has a prejudice. We all judge people, right? Like that's just how it goes. Now, what we do with that judgment is a different story. But
I
you
wouldn't
know,
even use the word judgment, right? I would just
mm,
use the word assessment. Right? You make assessments of people
that sounds like school.
based on their race, you know, and and more so, it's based on their race and the presumed experiences they had based on that, or
Mhm.
um, the benefits they get from having a specific skin color.
so
You know
what
what I mean?
so let me ask you a question. What happens when you don't have authentic experiences with a demographic of people, but all that you know kind of perceive through the media about that demographic of people is violent, negative, and certain types of behavior, right? Perpetuated.
That's ignorance, right? That's just people not taking the time um to get to know somebody or try to understand somebody. So like, and that's shown every single day. If you go on to you see a story of anything that happens within the city of Rochester, and it gets on channel 8 or channel 10 or channel 13, they post something online on social media. The most comments you're going to see are people that live outside of the city of Rochester and only
Yep.
come here to go to the public market,
And they still
right?
pay for parking on
And
Saturdays.
right, and that they'll come
When
in,
it's
they'll go to
free.
the public market, and they feel like, yeah, I'm a part of. I live in the city of Rochester.
Mm.
You don't live in the city of Rochester. You don't understand the city of Rochester. You don't understand the challenges of people that people face in the city of Rochester. You shouldn't even claim it, right? You know what I mean? Because your experiences is you complaining about some of the things that are happening in a neighborhood that you've never even been to or haven't had no clue about, what it is, right? That's ignorance.
Mm.
That's then them saying that, oh, and the reason that this is happening to my city that I don't live in, right, that I don't pay taxes in, that I don't contribute to, is
Mhm.
because of the person that's running it, right? And then they start talking about the mayor, who has nothing to do with your lifestyle, because the only thing you know about the city of Rochester is the public market. When you come in on Saturday and you feel like this is where you live, this is your home. You'll go anywhere else in the world and someone will ask you where you're from, and you're going to say the city of Rochester. You're not going to say one of the other suburbs or the towns that you live in. You're not claiming that. You're saying I live in Rochester, right?
Mm.
So that's just for me, like somebody that has that perspective and that understanding. They're just ignorant people, right? And from I don't take anything that they say seriously. If you can't show me that you have skin in the game and you're making comments about something, right? And I'm using this as an example, but
Mm.
this happens in many different situations in life, right? Like there's just a lot of ignorant people, and I think that's what you're seeing. That's the reason why we have the person in the presidency that we have now, is because there's a lot of ignorant, well, two things. I think is because there's a lot of ignorant people that went out to the polls and they believe that his main and primary focus is making sure that immigrants are coming in and taking their jobs, when all the jobs that immigrants have and have been working in and have been getting, and the fact that they're rolling up to Home Depots and farms and all these places to get these immigrants from, are places that these individuals that went out and voted for him will never ever think about working. Right?
Mm.
Ignorance. That's ignorance.
I
And I
I
think the other piece of it is that there's other powerful people, right, that understand that they can puppeteer this dude, right? You see it every single interaction that he has with another foreign leader. You come in and you say, oh, Mr. Trump, you should get the Nobel Peace Prize, right? And then what happens?
The
Oh,
accent.
this country is in great graces now, right? Oh, Mr. Trump, you have done so much for the African continent. And now that country in Africa, right, is being highlighted. Oh, Mr. Like, that's all you have to do. Steve Jobs came to the Oval Office and gave this dude a trophy, right? Or some type of plaque. And now he's getting all of these
Steve
cuts.
Jobs?
Not Steve Jobs. Yeah,
Elon Musk.
my bad. Apple CEO.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I was about to say,
That
my
dude.
bad. My bad.
Jobs been gone.
God bless the dead. But
I thought you meant like first term. That's why I was. That's why I was asking for context.
and I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. But he came to the Oval Office and gave him an award, right? And FIFA gave him another peace award, right? And then what happens a month after he gets this peace award from FIFA? He's now the president of Venezuela, right? He's about to go to war. We're technically probably you look at it at war with Venezuela, and there's fighting in the Middle East again. And what does he say about this? Oh, if Iran does da 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 da, we're shooting back, right? Ignorance. Like ignorance is the reason why. And then the other piece of it is that these people with influence, right? They're puppeteering him. And they're using him to get this power. They know that all they have to do is put something shiny in front of his face, right? And then they're gonna have all the things that they need moving forward. And that's the society that we're living in. That's how naive people are, right? And there's enough people. There's a majority of people that live in this country that are allowing this to happen. That's putting us in the place that we are right now.
Period.
And those same people who kind of internalize that ignorance, they vote ignorantly. They take on different jobs, and then their lens that they execute those duties through are through that same ignorant lens. So whether that be behind the bench, whether that be behind the store counter, behind the desk, that at the bank, wherever, they exist in all these different walks of life, and now it's like, now it's where we're almost experiencing that same KKK experience without the mask, because we just don't know who it is, who's internalized that ignorance.
Yeah, man, this has been a great conversation, man. We are getting close to time. And I think we might have to continue. I like the current events, as part of our platform, and I think we need to continue to do it. If anybody who's watching in the comments, just let us know, if you think that we should continue with looking at current events, and also, the topics that we have for the day. So usually at this time we do something called shout outs. We do shout outs for whatever the occasion is. bRho's thinking like I'm gonna shout out Brandy Hayes, which I basically am already doing. So shout out to my wife.
I was gonna let you who you gotta go to bed with. I respect it. I was gonna let you live tonight.
Oh, you gonna let me live tonight? All right, bet.
Yeah. So can I go? Can I give my shout outs?
Hey, yeah, go ahead, man. Actually, you go. I'll go, and then we'll let Isaac go last, because then he normally.
There we go.
Cool.
All right. So I want to first shout out again. I think we touched on it or talked about it last week, but over the course of the past couple of weeks, there have been some major losses in the Rochester community. So Bishop McCullough was laid to rest this past weekend. So we just want to continue to send prayers and condolences to the family of Bishop McCullough. He was a pillar and a patriarch of this community. I mean, counseled. He was, the pastor's pastor, like people who've been in leadership for many years. You know what I mean? Went to him for counsel and advice. So He was. I mean, he was that revered in this community. So, again, prayers and condolences to his family, as well as the late Dr. Freddie Thomas's his wife passed
Oh
this.
wow,
Yeah,
really?
yes,
Know
Mays
that?
Thomas, and my uncle was like he was a student. I mean, he was mentored by Dr. Freddie Thomas, and so it's hitting him a little bit because he had a close relationship with Dr. Freddie Thomas, and so again, prayers and condolences to their family as well. Um, and then so I know so and also to my bishop, he actually went this past weekend to bury a relative. He facilitated
Oh,
those
man.
services,
Sorry to hear
so
that, man.
prayers and condolences to them. Um, but on a bright and positive note, you know, I see it in the chat box. Want to definitely give much love and respect to the one Mark G, the one and only Bruiser. Wow, up. Happy birthday, big bro.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
bro.
yes sir. Happy birthday to my bro Jeff Johnson, man. Um,
Oh
that's,
yeah.
that's my guy right there, man.
Happy
We
birthday to that brother, man.
since I was a preteen. Bopper. He done held me down and looked out for me. So happy birthday to him. All the January birthdays, and you know what I mean. And
There is one birthday coming up.
yeah, but before we get there,
Uh,
if you might notice, I have on a particular color on today, right? And I don't tend to wear much in the pink family, but because on Thursday they call it J15,
uh-huh.
my wife will be celebrating her first Founders Day. I wanna give
Wow.
a huge happy Founders Day to my wife, Satoya Soror Smith. Happy Founders Day to you. 118 years of sisterhood, scholarship, service. You know what I mean? An amazing legacy of just impacting the community and that Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated has had. And so I do want to
Pinkies up.
celebrate them. Oh, listen, she'll tell you. Every time I have a little have a mug, a drink now, that's what I know. But
Yeah, she has to be sitting at the table like this. Thinking about it, I'm thinking.
yeah, she didn't even see. She didn't even see I had my hoodie on. You know what I mean? I don't. She probably didn't even pay. Catch the connection. You know what I mean? She thought I think she really thought I was not going to shout her out. And so, happy Founders Day, babe. Happy Founders Day to you and your sorors. You know what I mean? I give them some love. As well. And big sis Christina, man. Brown Richards. It's some. She's one I got to shout out. You know what I mean? And I got love for a lot. You know what I mean? But I got to shout her out because she pinned my wife. So happy Founders Day to you all. But happy Founders Day especially to my big sis Christine, but most of all to my wife on her first Founders Day. Happy Founders Day.
That's
and
Yeah.
happy MLK Day to you know what I mean, to everyone coming up. The man. Listen, learn about that man.
Learn. Read a couple books. Read some
Learn
books.
you something. Learn you something.
Word.
First black president, right there.
So now you may have figured out. Never mind. I ain't even gonna do it to him. You got it, Kareem. You got it.
Oh, I got it.
You got it.
Well, I would like to say first of all, happy Founders Day to my wife, who is part of the Rochester alumni chapter, the devastating Divas of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. So I definitely want to shout them out for their many years of service, what they've done, and also because Man, I forgot what I was gonna say. But
Yeah,
anyway,
because you was trying.
I was doing too much. I was doing too
Yeah,
much.
exactly. You was trying to outdo my shout
I
out.
was. I
And
was. I ain't gonna
that's
lie to
exactly
you.
why you got lost the train of thought.
I, yo,
God don't like ugly. God
I
don't like
was.
ugly.
I got caught red-handed. See, I would see what I did there.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to them, all the ladies. They know who they are. Definitely shout out. So I know they're gonna paint the city red tomorrow, with everything, or crimson actually, crimson and cream, tomorrow. So definitely shout out to them. Also want to shout out to my mom, my aunt, my cousin, who are all part of Alpha Phi Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, for their Founders Day as well. And I gotta say this, I have a cousin that is a Delta, old school. Definitely want to shout her out. She's down in Florida. So just shout out to.
You kind of treated, you kind of
Nah,
treated
don't
the
don't
like
do
an
that, because then
afterthought, bro.
nope,
You kind of,
because then I gotta hear about. Nope, don't do that. Because you see, I told Brandy you be instigating, because I told her yesterday. She was like, "Oh, I feel like you." I was like, "Nah, that's just by love. That's what he does. Don't read into what he meant."
nah,
He always starting stuff. That's what big bros do. They be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna throw that in there right there, and I'm gonna see what happens." But in all honesty,
just saying.
in all seriousness, want to shout out real quick, because I gotta be done. To my son, had a great weekend of basketball. They won the first game by 1 point, and then they lost the second game. But I'm really proud of him, because he had some free throws at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, like a minute left. And when he was doing his free throws, I know people are usually quiet, at least at that level. When they're in high school, that's totally different in college. In college level, so the kid was standing there waiting to throw, but he was like clapping his hands, like. And KJ was looking at him. I said, "Hey man, just focus. Focus on what's going on. I know he ain't supposed to be clapping right now, but just focus on what is going on." And he dropped both free throws right in the bucket. So I was super proud of him, man, for being able to focus and to do that, even though they fell short against a really good team. But I'm really proud of him for that, and I'm also proud of my daughter for the good games that she's had. She had a tough game this last one, but she persevered. She got through it, and it's made her stronger since then. So shout out to my kids. I'm done. Oh, shout out to my cousin Stephanie. What up, cuz? All right.
Word, definitely shout out everybody in the chat. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Another great episode of Bro Talk. On a Monday, this is where we are here. We're going to be here for now, for the foreseeable future. So check us out Mondays at 9:00 p.m. Every Monday off. It is MLK Monday coming up, bros. What we going to do? We'll keep y'all posted. We'll let you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we'll keep everybody posted. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, everybody that was in the chat. I just have a quick shout outs. Definitely want to shout out my dean, man. His birthday coming, has just recently passed. So definitely got to shout him out. Big brother Balel, my guy Smith. We'll put it there. We'll leave it there. His birthday's coming up as well too. So we gotta definitely shout out, show you some love, bro. We definitely appreciate your insights as well too. We have learned so much from you over the years, and we definitely appreciate your wisdom, bro. So thanks for sharing those gems with us. And then, really quick shout outs to my wife, who is a member of Rochester General Hospital. She be working that overtime, man.
Yeah, I'm a Delta Iota.
With them nice paychecks. So yeah, keep that affiliation that you got there, shorty. Appreciate you. But to all the organizations that have been celebrating this month, coming after December, when it all kind of started. But we definitely want to shout out everybody in the D9. I didn't get a chance to go to the event Saturday. I know that there was like a meetup over at a local organization. Did y'all go to that?
Nah, man, I was tired. I went home.
Know about it.
Yeah, so Saturday evening, I know they had, and I don't want to shout out the organization because you know they ain't
Exactly,
paying us.
they ain't cutting no
But
slack.
but yeah, it seemed like it was a cool event. So you know, everybody that was you know, all the organizations celebrating their January birthdays, I assume. You know, kudos
I'm happy they
to you
did that,
all.
man. We should do more of that.
Yeah, it was dope. It was, from what I've seen and heard, it was a pretty dope event. And then lastly, I just want to highlight a minority-owned business in Rochester. Man, if y'all haven't checked out Lena's on East Avenue, near East Avenue and Alexander, they got some bomb wings. You get a dozen for $10, which you can't really even find in Rochester. Look at Cree's face. You see it? Did y'all see his face? Yo, rewind that if y'all have a chance.
Yo,
When I said $10 for a dozen, watch his face. But supposed to be eating healthy, bro. He's supposed to be eating healthy. But yeah, it's only on Wednesdays though. I think it's Wednesdays. $10 a dozen. Check them out. They got a lot of different flavors and they're actually pretty good too. So besides that, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you all. And it looks
check
like
me out Saturdays, man, 8 a.m. Real Deal Sports Show, YouTube, 105 Beat. You know what I mean? We're talking sports of all sorts. So, you know, if you enjoy good sports conversation, good sports talk, and so far I've been spot on with all my picks for the playoff weekend. Shout out to my team, the 49ers, on advancing in the playoffs. So you know, we'll see how they do this coming weekend. But hey, you got, when the Super Bowl is in your backyard, you got a lot of motivation to make it there. So we one game closer.
And shout out to the Super Bowl champion Buffalo Bills too, man. Kudos to all you Bills fans out there.
Yes, still waiting on that elusive first
Listen, I'm trying to speak it into existence.
Hey, listen. So I said this. I said this weekend. If there was no other year, this was the year. No Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. No Lamar Jackson, and I know
Ravens,
Lamar, you know what I mean, in the playoffs. But when you are, Josh Allen is the big dog, and he played like it yesterday. He played like the big dog yesterday, and got it. You know what I mean? Got the ball in the hands of his playmakers when he needed to.
Now, when you got bRho started on sports, man, we trying to.
I was done. I'm done.
Yeah, we out. We just, you know what I mean? we just wrapping it up. But yeah, check us out, 8 a.m. Saturday mornings.
All right.
A-Town down.